Welcome to the Dr. Dav Show. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Dav. Welcome to The Bridge. Today, we're going to have a conversation with fit women versus plus-size women. In a world where body image and beauty standards are constantly debated, the conversation around fitness and size has never been more relevant. Today, we bring together two groups with different perspectives to discuss fitness, health, confidence, beauty standards, societal expectations, and self-love. Is being fit always about discipline? Can you be plus size and still be healthy? And how do these identities shape the way women are perceived and treated? In this episode, we explore the truths, challenges, and misconceptions on both sides, seeking to build a bridge in a conversation that goes beyond the scale. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Daff. Let's get into it. And the first prompt is, your physique is in your control.
I think there are a few things that are in our control. For example, nutrition, that's in our control. Stress management, sleep, recovery, things like that, that's in our control.
I would say the only thing that's not in our control is our genetics, our hormones, which play a huge part for females, and our environment. I mean, environment can be in control a little bit, but it really depends on the environment.
I agree. Also having like a stable state of mind, at least for people who are overweight. At least in my life, it's very hard to, how can I explain this? Have my brain in the same set that I want to have my heart. So there's times that I'm really stressed out and I tend to do things that are not healthy for me. And that comes even from not working out to sleeping in to avoiding exercise. And it's not healthy. So I think a lot of factors can contribute to you being overweight. It doesn't just necessarily have to do with nutrition and food, but it is a good point to have a good nutrition system around you, even family-wise, you know.
Going off that, I think access and knowledge is a huge thing too. Like, do you live somewhere where access to more nutritious and healthy foods isn't as accessible? And then also the environment that you grow up in, like what does your family do? Those are all things, and the medications, you have no control on side effects of medications, that's out of your control. But yes, all the things that you guys mentioned in your control, but then there's so many other things that just are not within your control.
I definitely agree that certain things about our body can be in our control, but like you were saying with the genetics, those aren't things that we can control. Those are things that we are born with, that we inherit from family members that are passed down. We can't really control our height and how tall we are, or our bone density. We can't control certain things like that. So to an extent, I agree that there's certain things that we can control about our physique, but then there's other factors that come into it that are just absolutely impossible to change, like our genetics, like our height. Like those things can't be changed like by ourselves. It's not possible.
I wanted to just say I kind of agree in the sense that like there are things that might arise that like we don't like, where it affects how we can control our things. Like, for example, if you're going through depression, I experienced depression in college where like you said, I literally couldn't get up out of bed. Like I had no motivation to cook. Like I would go eat fast food because it would give me like kind of like a rush where I was, feeling good. But in reality, I know it's causing more harm to me. And now, since I think like October, I've been working out. I lost 50 pounds and I've just been on a good kick, a good journey, but I have the time. I have like a local like yoga studio where I clean and they give me free classes, and I know not everybody has that access, and I can only imagine if I was a mother, how hard it would be to be able to do all that stuff. But yeah, like I sometimes feel like I don't even have time in the day to take care of all the things that I need to take care of. So like I can only imagine being a mother of like 1, 2, 3 and having like to make the time to care for yourself. Like sometimes you won't even have that time.
And also consider what you're trying to lose weight for. Is it healthy, or is it because you feel like you need to look better? Consider what is the reason why you're trying to lose weight. I want to lose weight to stay healthy, not necessarily to stay in a body that I'm probably not going to be happy, because I've been thin before and there was certain treatments that I got different, But in person, in my inside, I felt very different, and I was more happier. Not saying that I'm fat. I'm not trying to make unhealthy living a good thing, but I was happier because I didn't have to fit a certain size. And now I'm just working on staying healthy and making sure that it's gonna work for me, and I'm gonna spread that positivity to everybody else who's trying to lose weight as well.
Thank you. You said that you were thin at some point. What contributed to the weight gain?
I was drinking a lot. I was drinking, and also I do smoke. And back in the day, I didn't understand it. I didn't want to accept it. That being intoxicated was driving me to overeat. And it wasn't necessarily a problem because when I was sober, I wouldn't get cravings to eating. It was more after I had drank and I had smoked, and probably if I hadn't had a meal in all day, I would wait until night after the party and I would overeat. So it's a lot of things that contributed to that. But I sat with myself and I looked at what I had done to myself, and I said, this is what you need to change. This is what you need to work on. But if you're not ready, just wait for it. But I definitely accept that it was me who drove me to that point.
I see. Thank you for sharing that. Question for the ladies on this side. Do you believe that you can be born overweight? Some people believe that you can't be naturally just overweight. What are your thoughts?
I do believe that you're with genetics. You can be born with a certain amount of, I don't want to say fat cells, but kind of sort of in a way, you know. So genetics will play a small role in that. But at the same time, you can, besides your height, switch those genetics. You know, you can do things to help prevent whatever genetically your disposition is to that particular, you know, whatever that is. So you can kind of a little bit, I would say, but I don't know. It's kind of touchy.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
And with that question, I've been involved in bodybuilding, and in doing that, I've had the opportunity to play with my genetics. I've had the opportunity to shape my muscle. I've had the opportunity and the choice to change my physique. And so with that experience, I believe there is a lot in our control, and including access, because a person that is born poor does not have to stay poor. We see that many Americans are first-time millionaires, they're first-generation millionaires. Was that in their control to do? I believe so. So with the physique in bodybuilding, you are learning, okay, what are my genetic limitations, but what is under my control? So you're not comparing yourself to another athlete and figure, you're going with your division and you're building based on that division and what your body can do in that division. And I believe that kind of taught me a lot of your physique is in your control, and the things that are outside of your control is kind of like in life. You're not going to worry about that. You're just going to do with what you have in your control. And if someone is born into a family where everyone is overweight, everyone has an unhealthy lifestyle, they are more likely scientifically, psychologically to carry on. It's the nature versus nurture. So really, they aren't necessarily born overweight, but they are cultured to be overweight. And then the genetic predisposition that they have with diet and exercise have been shown to change, that sugar is a main culprit in obesity. It is a main culprit in deregulating hormones and bringing a lot of mental health issues to exasperating them, to making it worse. ADHD, there's so many studies on that. So I just feel like the things about putting sugar in your mouth, that's under your control.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just because you are in that position, or you were raised in a household where maybe they didn't have a healthy lifestyle, doesn't mean you have to follow it. So yes and no.
Yeah, I don't know about genetics when you're initially born, but it's the habits of the lifestyle that you were born into, but there is also such thing as epigenetics, which is where you're not changing your DNA, but you're changing like the way that your genes are like perceive, basically, the example I always give is there's a picture of my mum, my sister, and myself. And my mum and my sister's legs is like very, very slim genetically. As like an Asian family, we're all very small. But I've grown my muscles to a point where my legs are like 3 times the size of my rest of my families, you know? So, but that's because I was in a place where I had the time, I had the resources, I had the knowledge to be able to do all of those things, and I wanted to do that for myself. But also that's not always a want for everyone either, to differ from what they are genetically given.
And when you have children, I don't know if you do, but if you decide to, your children will probably take on the body type of what you're naturally built to look like genetically, right? Or will it be what you have now done to your body? Do you think that would play a factor?
I think that's the epigenetic side of things, where it does alter things slightly, plus then the lifestyle that I have compared to. But yeah, I don't know, it'll be interesting to read more into that for sure.
Thank you for sharing that. And ladies on this side, have you ever struggled with weight loss despite putting in effort?
Absolutely. I think all of us up here can relate to that in one way or the other. And interesting, because I heard from the other side that you were a bodybuilder and you were able to change the way that your body displays and kind of break out of that mold. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, at what cost? Because that's a full-time job. And a lot of us have families and 2 or 3 jobs and have so many things going on in our life that changing our, like fighting with our body on a regular basis is no longer an option. And my entire childhood, I was a fat kid. I was on a diet from the age of like 5 or 6. I didn't even understand the concept of it. I just knew that I was in ballet and I was bigger than everyone, and there was a recital and I had to lose weight to fit in, to look like everybody else. And so that's when I learned that my body was a problem. And, you know, everything else aside, the fact that I was a big kid and I continued to be a big child into adulthood, I had spent that whole time fighting my body, thinking there was something wrong with it, unable to change it. Nothing that I did was able to change it. And so as an adult, coming into my own and realizing I can pursue health, I can pursue exercise, I can pursue the things that make me feel good, but my battle with my body is done. I don't have it in me anymore, and I want to spend my time on things that actually matter in my life. And I think that I can pursue my life goals without also trying to pursue thinness that's really unattainable for me.
What did you do when you were trying to attain what you felt was appropriate for your body?
Restriction, which as a child leads to binge. You know, it's just a natural progression when you restrict a child. I mean, restriction in any way really, but especially with a child. And exercise, you know, nothing unusual. I think around high school, I started getting prescribed weight loss drugs. That was like the trendy thing. And that was not, that didn't have a positive outcome at all. So pretty much all the basic things you would think.
You said your body was a problem. Like that really like hit me when you said that. Have any of you ladies felt that way, like your body is the problem? And how does that translate to like you separating yourself from your body? Because if your body is a problem, are you a problem?
So I was gonna say, I think I've come to the point where it's like, I recognize this body's a vessel. Like, I'm far more than my body. I know when I walk into rooms, sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. People are afraid of my confidence. I know it inspires other people, but that's not all there is to me. And I think society has become very vain to where it focuses more on who people look externally versus who we are on the inside. And for me, I think that's why my existence is so important. And I've been a plus size model for 7 years, and I've worked for like companies that people probably wouldn't think that I could model for. And I've noticed that sometimes when I go into spaces, people make me feel like I'm not that, like I'm not a model, like I haven't made my space. And I realize like I don't have to prove myself, because it's more like how you view yourself. And that's like a battle I had to make peace with, because I've been a bigger body my whole life. This is never gonna change. My mom's 5'2", my dad's 5'7". How did I come out like this? I don't know. But one of the things that makes me so happy and content with myself is that when I was younger, I used to hate that I was big. I used to hate that my voice was deep And like, I was like, why is my voice deep? Why am I so big? But I'm like, my message is powerful. My mission on this earth is powerful. That's why God gave me a deep voice, because I'm not meant to have a high-pitched, squeaky voice for whatever message I'm getting out there. And same with my body. I'm not meant to, not putting anybody that's a smaller body down, but where I'm meant to go, the places that this body is meant to take me. And I've been through a lot of physical pain. So I think that's one of the ways where I've come to embrace myself versus tearing myself down. There's so many people in this world that try to do that to me every single day. I can't be one of those people.
Doing it to yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of what you said is really beautiful. I love that. Thank you.
Of course.
But I grew up as a little overweight. I don't want to say extreme, but I was a little overweight. My mom and my dad are very thin. My siblings are thin. They're all thin. And they're the type of people that their metabolism, as soon as they eat, they go and they use a restroom. I've never been like that. I'm sorry, I don't want it to sound rude, but I've never been like that. And I always knew that I was different from my family because my parents were always trying to find a way to help me lose weight, because back in the day, talking about 1990, 2000s, as soon as you were a little bit over your BMI scale, you already considered a huge kid. And everybody around you treated you different. So I was treated different, and I wasn't big. I look at these pictures now, and I'm just like, I let so many people in my own family circle get to me thinking that I was this overweight little girl. I would go hiking with my siblings, with my parents, because we like to fish and stuff. My dad is from a rancho. I would be able to do all those things that they're doing. I just wasn't able to lose the weight as fast as they did. But I was still doing the same things. So I learned at a very, very young age how to tolerate being called fat. And when I decided to lose weight, that's when I lost it. I lost weight for the need of wanting acceptance from others. But when I realized that I was still being accepted, even if I was overweight, I lost myself in trying to accept where I'm putting myself for allowing so many years people in my ear. So I think that's where, if you don't have nothing nice to say, and if you just, by looking at someone, you consider them obese and you're just gonna blabber, you're obese, I don't find that to be nice, because you don't know how much struggle that person is going through to lose that weight. I endured so much struggle because my parents endured it with me. And it wasn't because they were malnourishing me or feeding me over too much. It was just the way that my body, and they were trying to help me fix that body. And now at this age that I'm at, I don't want to achieve a beautiful body. I just want to be healthy. And to me, that's beautiful. To me, how I look, it's beautiful. And like she said, you walk into rooms, I have confidence. I've always had confidence. And that bothers people. Feeling that you are beautiful, the way that you look, bothers people.
Thank you for sharing that.
I think it's definitely interesting hearing everyone's story, at least on this side. We all have such a different story, but like the common thing that we have in mind is we all were saying we want to be healthy, we want to feel healthy, or we want to feel this, we want that. And for me, my story is different from all of you guys. I was trying to make sure that I was listening to everyone's story, but as a child, I was considered skinny. I hate using words like that. I'm like skinny, fat, plus size, bigger bodied, smaller bodied. It's all a body. But I was considered at a normal weight as a child, and I was still made fun of despite that because I was so tall. I went through that growth spurt early as a child. I got called a giraffe. I got called long neck by other kids, and all of these things, and I gradually gained the weight because of what happened to me. I was no longer comfortable in my body, and I turned to eating food as a coping mechanism for what had happened to me, and gradually gaining the weight, and also at the same time the genetics also played a role in that, because I have PCOS and it runs in my family, but I did not know that at the time. So with PCOS, it's easier to gain the weight and keep the weight than it is to lose it, and also having insulin resistance as well. But a lot of stuff factors into it, and it's definitely difficult to lose the weight, but it's not impossible.
Thank you for sharing that.
Hi loves, it's me again, Dr. Michelle Daff. We've really been enjoying producing these meaningful conversations on the Dr. Daff Show. However, they are very costly to produce with our large team, equipment, audio, studio, and cast, and everything else that goes on behind the scenes. If you've been enjoying these thought-provoking conversations and want to support what we're doing here, I would love for you to check out my fragrance brand, Fine Forever. Fine Forever is more than just a fragrance brand. It is a celebration of faith, purpose, and beauty. We currently have 3 signature scents, each inspired by a unique Bible scripture, and has with its own story and meaning. First, we have 2911, inspired by the scripture Jeremiah 29:11. It is a delicate yet vibrant fragrance that combines lush florals with soft, sweet undertones. It is a celebration of gratitude and the blessings that unfolds when we walk in faith. Next is Silent Storm, inspired by Psalm 107, 28, and 29. It is a bold, captivating scent that balances strength and serenity. With warm woods and a touch of spice, it is a reminder to find peace and purpose, even in life's storms. And lastly, we have Mustard Seed, inspired by Matthew 17:20. It is a fresh and uplifting fragrance inspired by faith and growth. It opens with bright citrus and soft florals, symbolizing the beauty of small beginnings and the incredible potential within. Every purchase directly supports this show and helps us to keep bringing you meaningful content. So if you're looking for a signature scent that not only smells amazing, but also carries a message of faith and empowerment, then you can visit fineforever.com and shop now. Your support means the world to me, and I truly believe that these fragrances will bless you as much as they've blessed me.
And the next prompt is, I have struggled with body image issues regardless of my size. Okay, go ahead and share.
I would like to share something. I think a lot of people automatically think that if someone is, normal size, whatever that is in the culture that you grow up in, because it's different everywhere. But in America, they think, well, if you have a small waist or if you you're not considered, plus size, that you didn't have anyone making fun of you or anyone talking about you. I was constantly, because I put on muscle very easily, so I was a competitive cheerleader in school. Constantly, guys would come up to me flexing like, oh, are you really a man? I've even had guys come up to me randomly like, and women, I don't want to get too muscular, and people coming up to me that will say things like, oh, I don't want to work out my shoulders because I don't want them to look like a man. And so I just feel like a lot of times because someone is fit or they have a certain body aesthetic, they are not included in that body positivity movement. And it's really sad because if we're women supporting women, we all rose up the green hand. That just is an attack against women. It's not just an attack against plus size, it's an attack against anybody that anybody wants to attack at any point. And I've definitely been called manly, too muscular, you're not gonna get a man, I don't wanna look like you, I don't wanna ever, that's too much, like you're doing way too much. And I just think it's not appropriate. It's not an appropriate way to put people in a box and say, you need to be like this.
And I'll share my story. That's interesting, I like that, okay? Because being in the fitness industry, people would think that, oh, you guys don't get any criticism, you guys are all beautiful. No, not at all. When I was coming up in bodybuilding, first of all, I was talking to her and I go, oh, what division do you compete in? She goes, bikini. She goes, you compete? And I said, yeah, I competed before there were any divisions. It was all just female bodybuilding. So I'm 61 and I've been doing this since I was 25. And yes, I had a boyfriend that I was training with, and we were in Venice Beach, and we were walking along the beach, and I heard this. Wow, her arms are bigger than his. So then I started feeling insecure a little bit because, okay, this is gonna attack his masculinity first and foremost, and So that story right there, and it just, all of a sudden I kind of felt like I just wanted to shrink. I wanted to get small. Then another time happened. I actually was on the American Gladiator television show. I played Ice. Now, interesting enough.
That's where
my hair was a little longer, I cut it off. But anyway, it was interesting because I was walking down into the mall, and this was all of a sudden, it's like same scenario. Oh my God, she's big. Why does she want to look like a man? She's way too muscular. Oh, that's terrible. I turn around, I kid you not, has no offense to anyone, is a very overweight woman behind me. And I was like, that's not fair, because I know that you feel the same thing sometimes, and yet you're talking this smack behind me. I could hear you. Then somebody tells her, by the way, you know who she is. That's an American Gladiator. The whole persona changed. Why? Just because I'm on television on a show, now it's okay to look muscular? You see how it changed instantly? And it's just our culture, and it sucks. Let's just be real. It just sucks all around how people judge one another. And they shouldn't. I mean, just because we're muscular, we want to look muscular, let us be.
Let us be buff.
Yeah.
Let me be buff.
Let us be buff. Let us be the badass girls we want to be, you know? But we get the same talk. We do.
I think that's an interesting point that you bring up, because we see people, and we're all guilty of this, and we have this expectation of how they're supposed to perform, right? So she saw you and like, oh, you're muscular, you have a masculine physique, but then somebody clues, she's successful, she's popular. Oh, well, that changes everything. So
You're
it's
allowed.
like you change the performance for her. So I think that's important to be cognizant of that with ourselves, and when we see other people and we have those thoughts, to kind of think like, why do I expect this of this person?
I want to say I respect bodybuilders, because honestly, it's a commitment. It's like a relationship. It's a commitment in where everything in your life is involved in making sure that your body's going to turn out the way you're wishing. And I believe it's something that should be applauded, because not everybody has that type of commitment, even in a relationship. So I do feel like you guys.
you. I know, right?
Like, I feel like you guys are committed to it, and it works. You guys look really great. You know, it's nothing bad. It's just, unfortunately, like you guys said, society has these standards that it's impossible to fulfill. It's impossible.
Question for everyone here. How many of you have ever suffered from eating disorders or taking weight loss drugs? Can someone share on that?
Yeah, I mean, so when I was speaking about how I was considered skinny as a child, I started to gain weight and binge eat. So I started to cope with the trauma that I had went through food, and I would eat and eat and eat, and it would become an issue. So instead of speaking out and talking to the people around me and telling them what was going on with me and reaching out to them and telling them how I feel, I would turn to the food. And that became my coping mechanism. Instead of speaking to someone, speaking to a counselor, speaking to my parents, speaking to family members, I would eat the food. I would go to the food, I would eat and eat and eat whenever I felt sad, whenever I felt stressed, angry, sometimes even when I was happy. So it wasn't just the negative emotions, it was all of the emotions that I was feeling as a child. And into my teenage years and my adulthood, I would just eat and eat and eat instead of turn to speaking to people. And it wasn't until I finally reached out and I told my family what had happened to me that I started to heal myself. I started to heal myself with what was going on with me. I started to go to therapy. I started to reach out and speak about these things that were happening to me instead of going to the food. And doing those things, it helped me tremendously in my relationship with food and with myself as a person. But also to speak on the taking drugs and enhanced pills and what have you. Once I turned 18, because before that I didn't have a credit card. I just had cash and was given allowances because my family was very strict on that. They were like, you're not going to get a credit card until you are 18 and you're responsible. Well, the first thing that I did with a credit card was get weight loss pills online, because I had just been on social media and my feed was constantly, oh, take this and you'll lose weight. You go on this pen that will help you curb your appetite. And the first thing that I did was purchase these pills because it was all that I was seeing. And I was influenced by social media and all these comments saying, oh, it works so great, it's so good for you, and blah, 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 blah. It helped me lose this many pounds. So I did it, they came in the mail, and I started taking them. And yes, I did lose some weight. I lost like maybe 5 pounds in a month or what have you. And then I continued to take them, saw some more weight loss go down. I was like, okay, my weight is going down. I don't need these pills anymore. I'm going to go off of them. But I wasn't eating in a healthy deficit. I wasn't taking care of my body. I was just taking these pills to curb the appetite and make me want to eat less. So once I got off of those pills and those side effects went off, I was constantly hungry, and then I was eating more because I had lost that support system that I had that I was using. And I was taking it and eating more food, and then I went back to my original weight and plus some, because that pill was my rock. It was what I was using to help me. So after I realized that, I just had to stop, because I realized this isn't helping me, it's not healthy, and it's not good for me. So
Thank you. Someone on this side like to share?
Yes, in high school I had a lot of body image issues, which led to a lot of dieting or over dieting, purging, binge eating, disorderly eating. Yes, that. So yeah, I did deal with a lot of.
And were you able to like stop that process that
Yes,
you were
so
kind of getting yourself into?
The older I got, the more I started to educate myself on how to actually build my self-confidence and learn how to lose weight the healthy way.
That's good. Thank you.
I just want to talk about, like, I think for me, the issue was when I was growing up. I would go to the mall with my friends in the 8th grade, and they'd go into Hollister, and they'd go into Abercrombie, and they'd go into all these Forever 21 stores, and I could never find anything that fit me. So it was really like, I'd go to the mall, but what am I going to the mall for? To just be with my friends while they're trying on stuff, and I just have to like stand, and I would get something in hopes that it would fit me. It wouldn't fit me. So that was a really hard thing for me, and in a sense, it's kind of what led me into modeling. I wanted to be like, in college, I started thrifting a lot, and in thrift stores, I would actually find stuff that would fit me. And what inspired me was that I went to the mall because I was going to Hawaii, so I needed to find some shorts, and I went through the whole mall. And I found one pair of shorts that fit me, and it cost $50. It wasn't in my budget. So I was like, what the heck? Like, how am I supposed to like live like this if I can't afford to buy clothes that actually fits me? So I started thrifting, and at the thrift stores, I started finding like cool, colorful prints, like wacky, tacky stuff. And I started wearing it, and I'm like, this makes me feel fly. Like, I'm gonna start wearing it. So when I was in college, I was like, I want to be known as like a fashion icon, no matter my size. Like, I put that on and I rock it and I look fly. So going into the fashion industry, I started seeing like plus size modeling was becoming a thing. So I didn't necessarily want to be a model, but I wanted to show that representation that like fashion isn't just like one body type. Like, there's so many of us, and we all deserve to wear fly stuff, not just flower print. And if you're a plus girly, like, you know, like back in the day, the fashion was horrendous for us. They wanted us in some like draped curtain type of stuff. So I'm thankful that, you know, there's been a lot of progress, but I know there's a lot of girls out here who still go through the same thing, and it's messed up that they can't find like clothes in their size.
Do you ladies on this side believe that body positivity should include weight loss?
I believe, yeah, as long as it's in a healthy way. Like I said, for everybody, for each its own, you know, as long as you're capable to doing that and you're mentally prepared to make your body endure commitment, not eating certain meals, maybe leaving some sugars. Like, it's a commitment. We go back again, it's a commitment. And I think a lot of us deal with commitment issues. I have commitment issues as to why I haven't reached a thinner goal that I probably have in mind. But like she said about the clothes as well, like, I had to go sometimes to the men's section to get clothes. So I don't have such a big problem with clothes, just because I learned how to work with whatever came my way. But like she said, it's very hard to find somewhere where you're gonna feel like, oh, that's gonna look great on me, just because my body's not gonna be as appealing or as how people want to consider it. It's not gonna look the same. So yeah.
I think that at its root, body positivity is a human rights issue. I think it should encompass your body changing. And through our life, we gain and lose weight. Some of us become disabled. Sometimes we have chronic illness. So our state of wherever we are, where we feel like we're able-bodied and the right size and, you know, perfect in our own eyes, that's temporary. We're in a constant state of flux. So I think that some of the dissonance in the body positive movement when it comes to weight loss would be people promoting weight loss as a positive thing, promoting thinness, and that's where the disconnect is. I don't think people should be villainized for their weight changing. It happens naturally, and it happens on purpose, and sometimes it has to happen for our own personal goals, our own personal reasons. So I think it should be accepted.
And we're growing older too, so.
I definitely agree what you're saying that body positivity shouldn't, it's such a wide variety. It shouldn't just include weight gain, weight loss. It should include every body, because at the end of the day, that's what it's called, body positivity. It should include everyone who's going through a change or going through something with their body that may not be in their control or is in their control, people who are amputees, that they deserve to be a part of that movement too. And I feel like the body positivity movement has moved so far from including those people that it's just started to focus on those who are fit, those who are plus size, that we forget that the other subcategories that fall under that.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next prompt. Thin privilege is real. Thin privilege is real, okay. Anyone can speak to that?
I want to talk on that. Like, just when I first started modeling, I was a size 10. Now I'm like a size 18. So, and at my biggest, before I like lost the weight, I was like a size 22. So like double what I started with modeling. And I noticed when I first started losing weight and got thinner, I'd go to places and people would just hand me stuff for free. People were nice to me. People held the door for me. Like, the way I had like people who wouldn't even look at me now are just trying to check in on me, see how I'm doing. It's like, so because I lost weight, because I'm a thinner body, now I have like more worth or value to you. Now you value me more. So yes, I've experienced it firsthand from friends, strangers, and I've seen it like, and I feel like a lot of people who have also had that experience of being a bigger body, having gone thin, and vice versa, back and forth, can also speak to that experience.
Is thin privilege a result of societal bias, or is it linked to the association between thinness and health?
I truly think it's a societal bias. We can't see health, you know. I had somebody very close to me that came down with a brain tumor and passed away subsequently, but they were the epitome of what we consider textbook health. Vegetarian, exercise every day, not an ounce over the BMI scale. And, you know, that was such a fast process between diagnosis and her being gone. There was never a point where we were like, you're unhealthy. You look so unhealthy in the garden on taking your hike or whatever. So we all understand we can't see health. Sometimes you can, obviously. But generally, we can't see cancer, or else we'd all be experts on it. So I think that treatment is really towards aesthetics and what we find beautiful and what we find desirable.
I agree with what she said. At least in my end, my grandma did end up having cancer in a point of her life. My mom was with her through the whole process, from her getting her hair cut, everything, having to help her shower because it was breast cancer. So one of her breasts was removed. And just watching my mom go with my grandma through the whole process, having to call her and seeing everything, I realized that as I'm getting older, my priorities are going to change. My priorities are not going to be looking what to society is beautiful, because it's reality, it's society. My own brain, my own little world, to me, I'm beautiful. To me, the way that my mom and my grandma are, they're gorgeous, they're beautiful. But to understand that process, I think only people who really go through situations and where you're gonna have to choose, do you wanna look great or do you wanna be healthy, is what at least to me, that's what helped me understand that I just wanted to be happy. And I didn't wanna focus so much on looking my best, because eventually I'm gonna change and I'm gonna get older and I'm gonna have to accept that. I might have kids, my body's gonna go through another change. So it is society that just makes you think this is how you're supposed to look. I have a sister that has kids. As soon as she gives birth, it looks like she never had babies. So it's accepting the way that you look, and that eventually we're gonna change. So it's society, to me.
Does anyone on this side want to speak to that?
I'll speak to that. I do believe that society is the pressure that causes people to feel good or bad about themselves, because in every culture, and it differs around the world, there is a beauty standard. And the further away from it you are, the more unattractive you're seen. But then there's even at a biological level, if we're dealing with, the two different people, like it's called the halo effect. If you have a symmetrical face and a symmetrical body, the hourglass shape is seen as the most desirable shape at a subconscious level. So we're dealing with just human biology at that point and that level. But, each culture is different, and they begin to value things such as skin shade, body, type, and all that. But ultimately, I do want to speak to something really specific. Our happiness, I feel like a lot of people think that if somebody is putting effort into their physique to look a specific way, they are not happy. And that is not true for me and a lot of people that I know. Matter of fact, I think I've made the best friends at the gym that I've ever had in my life. It has taught me to be a more consistent and committed person, as you said. There were times where I wanted to give up on myself. You have a breakup, you have a family issue, but I've actually chosen through the resistance training to be a resistant person to the challenges that I'm gonna face in life. And so I actually am happier being a bodybuilder, happier being a personal trainer, happier learning the biomechanics of the body and what goes in my body, how it affects it. Like, I monitor everything, and I'm like, ooh, that gives me gas. That works for me. That makes me feel good. I'm actually more informed now about my body than I was when I was just consuming anything that I wanted and anything that my family was eating. And yeah, I get looked down on because I don't do that. I don't give into the drive-thrus. I don't give into that type of behavior. But I'm actually happier not, and healthier not doing that. So
it's important. It's interesting because oftentimes society does link how you look, your physical fitness, to your behavior, your personality. I've been on interview panels where I'm the one with the team interviewing a candidate, and the candidate is plus size, she's overweight. And they immediately will just say, no, this person doesn't care about the way they look. They clearly are not going to care about their job. They don't care about their body. That translates to other areas of their life. So I have seen, just the different things that people will assume based on the way you look, whether it's positive or negative. So with you ladies here on this side, do you believe that thin privilege exists in all other aspects of life, like outside of fashion and media or dating?
Outside of dating as well?
Because I was
So that kind of encompasses everything.
I was going to mention dating.
So if you
Well,
just say in life.
I think someone mentioned that, like, she'll just get handed things because she's attractive, right?
I get free training. I get free supplements. It's endless. So, and I'm not just saying that to be like conceit. I'm just literally saying, like, there was a time where I looked, I feel like in my eyes, the muscle to fat ratio was not where I wanted it to be. And then when I changed that, the way that people treated me was different. The type of roles that I booked were different. The type of payment that I got was different. And definitely when you have people running to open the door for you, it's a privilege because they don't have to do that. They could slam it in your face, which I've had happen too. But I do see it. Job interviews, like you said, people love that presentation if you come in kind of like glowing in a way in the epitome of what they feel is attractive, especially if it's a male. I know I'm going to get that job. Like, I'm just saying, like, if I'm winking at him or, whatever, looking nice in a pink dress or whatever, and I feel confident. So I think that confidence also comes forth too. If you're confident with yourself, you are more likely to get the job. But there is a privilege. There is a privilege, for sure.
Absolutely.
The thought that came to my mind was there's some things in the world that are built for people of a certain size too. So there was a case of that rapper recently that felt that she was discriminated against because she couldn't fit into a certain car, or like, I know there's been several cases of plus size people on airplanes and things feel like the world is built for a certain size of person. And then when you travel the world, especially in Asia, like, people are genetically like smaller there. And so things in society might be built for a different body size, like beyond, obviously the obvious one is clothing, but
like
just,
rides.
Yeah, like things like that. Like the one that I can relate to is like in the gym, I'm 5'3". There are things, gym machines are designed for men that aren't necessarily 5'3". So there's things that you can't reach, and so that's the link that I'm making with this other things that society isn't built.
But is it really thin privilege?
I think it's a privilege, like you mentioned, like a ride, for example. Like if you can't go on a certain roller coaster because it's built for X, Y, and Z.
Or how about like these chairs? Like I thought about that for the show. We're gonna have a plus size panel. I didn't ask, but it crossed my mind. Are we gonna break the chairs? Are the chairs gonna be able to carry us? And that's, I mean, maybe it's funny, but it's realistic. I've broken a chair before.
I've broken a bench at the airport.
So things that you don't think of.
And it's a privilege for us to not even have to think about that. So
Exactly.
yes, like,
I've seen some privileges, like let's say going to like a night bar or nightclub, and the bouncer, whoever's looking at the line,
That's
will
happened.
want the skinny girls inside, and they will kind of leave everyone else if they feel like you're physically unattractive or you're plus size. I mean, I've seen it happen plenty of times. So I definitely think it happens outside of the media.
I was just gonna add, I've been, cause I also have a lot of friends who are also plus size models. So there's brands that'll invite us to their events, and they're like, oh, come, like we wanna have you as a guest. So you're like special invited, they add you to the list, they ask you for your size, and they don't have any plus size clothes. Their brand doesn't even cater to plus size. They just want the plus size girls to go to post, to get the followers, to get the engagement, but you're not even catering to the women that you're inviting. So it just kind of shows like, oh yeah, come get free clothes, but we only have clothes for all the people who fit in size small through large.
Or we have this one black item for you.
Yeah, just one item. When the girls have like 3 racks, why do we all have to look the same in the same outfit? Because that's all you make. And I think it's been beautiful to see like people speak up about that. Like right now there's this girl on like social media that's been like calling these brands out like directly, and she's like, if you want me to consult you about inclusivity, she's like, pay me. She's like, I'm not doing it for free. She's like, because this is like some real stuff that needs to be talked about, especially like these corporations, because they want the plus dollar, but they're not actually catering to the plus customer and the needs.
Just the image. Thank you for sharing that. And the next prompt is, you can be healthy at any size. Okay, anyone can speak.
I'll go. The reason I used to disagree with this, I'll be honest, I'll be very honest. I used to completely disagree with it. But after doing a lot of research, there's a lot of plus size women that are very healthy. And there's a lot of thin girls that are very unhealthy. So I don't think the size of the person really determines on their health. Now, of course, we look at that and go, yeah, well then, they're insulin resistant, and that's not healthy. Not all are, some are. They have more risks. Okay, maybe there is more risk to a health kind of issue. But let's say at the moment, not all plus size are unhealthy. I used to be one that disagreed with that. I'll be honest with you. I'd be like, absolutely not. I mean, if they're largely obese, there's got to be something going on with the system to where it's not healthy. If anything, I think it's a struggle. I think the weight could be a struggle, whether you want to take a long hike, or you want to walk up here, or you want to go somewhere, or and you don't have that endurance because we only have that little tiny heart. That little tiny heart, it's pumping a big body. And so I look at it not from an aesthetic kind of outside look. I look at it more of an inside look. What is that little heart doing? That's me. So, but at the same time, when you look at a person, you can't go, they're unhealthy. They're unhealthy. No, I don't believe that. Not anymore. So it just depends on the person and what's inside and what's going on with their genetic makeup and their health system and everything that's happening.
It's true.
I think I was like the only person with the red side. Was I? Oh, you guys are, because your question was at any size. Can you be healthy at any size? If you're 600 pounds, there's not many people in that category, if at all, that are considered healthy. So if we're saying at any size, if you are too skinny or you're in the 600 pound life category, it's not seen as healthy. So I do not agree that any size is healthy. I agree that the size for that individual and their metabolic health, and it's been shown that there is about 15% of people that are considered medically obese that are healthy. So that's 15% out of that large number, which I think is over 60% now in America. It's like, or overweight or obese. So then only 15% of that is actually healthy. So it's not a very big number, but I just think it doesn't include every and any size, whether skinny or plus size.
Can I ask how you define health?
Well, the question said, can you be healthy? So able to
Well, how would you
move,
define being healthy for like as a baseline for everybody?
able to move, have movement without restriction, able to breathe without restriction.
So what
able
about
to,
somebody that's asthmatic or has, is quadriplegic? Like
Well,
they
then
came
they
into
would
the world
they
that
would
way.
be a part of that. So she said any size, and I said no, not it, that if they're in some sort of shape that is disabled, they're included in that any size. They might not be healthy.
So they're not. They
Excuse me,
can't be healthy.
I'm gonna just interrupt because that was actually my next question was what
Sorry.
does healthy mean to you? When I was gonna
What does
have
healthy mean to you?
everyone ask that. So thank you for asking that. But can you kind of restate what healthy means to you? Because that is the next question.
What healthy means to me is that you can move at the cardiovascular level of the average person as is quantified by, I would say, an average. So if the average person can do this movement without any problem, then that is seen as the health marker according to science. And then if you move less than that, you're seen as outside of that. You're now underdeveloped in a way. Or if you're able to move faster than that, you're now seen as like you're overdeveloped. You're like at an athlete level. So if you're meeting that average quota, then you're seen as healthy, in my take.
So I feel like health is a moving target for everybody. We all have different conditions that we came into this world with. And again, like just to rephrase what I'd said previously, every day is different. We're always in flux. We don't know what's going to happen to our body from one day to the next that we have zero control over. And so when you consider health in that aspect, I feel like it's a unique thing for everybody in whatever disposition they're in. So even if you are 600 pounds, generally speaking, compared to an average sized person or somebody next to you, you would be quick to say not healthy. But if that is their condition and that has always been their condition, within that framework, they have good days and bad days. They have days where they have more movement and days where they can't even open their eyes or speak, right? So I feel like treating health as this one size fits all, if we don't fit into this container, is very discouraging, alienating, and also discriminatory to so many people. So to tell somebody just because they're quadriplegic that they're not healthy because they can't run a marathon or they can't flail their arms around and do like the last workout for quadriplegics or whatever is almost in a sense inconsiderate, maybe a little bit ignorant.
Well, I have a question. How would you determine if you're not having a good day? Wouldn't you have a marker of health? So all I'm saying is, according to doctors and medical staff that are constantly scientifically studying these things, so not our feelings, because sometimes our feelings can cloud our judgment. So sometimes we're saying that a person, oh, you're alienating me. I'm not alienating you. I'm trying to measure. So if you can't run from here to there and you're out of breath, I want to help you. So that's what I'm trying to determine. Like, are you in a state where you need help? Do you need assistance? Do you need an inhaler? But how would I measure that if I say, oh, well, everybody breathes differently, so maybe you're okay, just keep breathing. I have to have some sort of measure. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm saying there's a measure of, okay, if you breathe like this, your lungs are healthy, but if you breathe like this, I was an asthmatic, by the way, just so you know, grew up with asthma, had pneumonia, almost died several times. So the only way the doctor was able to measure whether I was healthy was because there is a norm of how people should be breathing, and I did not meet that, and I had to have an inhaler, I had to have breathing treatments in order to get to that place of health. So yeah, every day was good or bad, but there had to be a measure. We can't just go around without a measuring stick saying, okay.
Sure, but in your container, your measurement was specific to people in your container, right? You weren't having a baseline with me who's not asthmatic, right? So you had a certain baseline of health for your condition.
According to doctors, they're measuring off of how the average child is able to breathe at my age. So it was not just asthmatics. That's not how doctors do things. So when they're measuring breath or they're measuring the lung capacity, it is for the average child at that age, not for asthmatics. And then once I became diagnosed with that, then now we start studying me, studying my breathing averages and stuff like that. But they won't know if I'm outside of the average or not without measuring me towards something. So that's all it is. It's a measurement. It's not a degrading of people. It's trying to find out how to help you.
So I agree with what both of you guys are stating. Also, being unhealthy can be somebody very thin, very anorexic, somebody who doesn't get an appetite or doesn't eat just because they consider eating is going to make them gain weight. I, on the other hand, as I got older and saw the difference in my body, that when I used to go hiking, I didn't lose my breath. I was able to walk a couple miles and you know, still be resistant. But when I started noticing that I would go hiking and I would lose my breath is when I realized that I needed to make a change for my health, because it started disrupting my daily life. Even from, and this is, I'm sorry if it's too much information, but even going to the restroom, cleaning yourself. It comes to those little things and where you realize what's gonna be healthy for you and your body. I don't go around and saying, oh, I think you should change your health. I think no. I like to appreciate everybody for their own beauty, but we have to accept that there's certain things in our own life that let us know personally that you need to make a change. I'm not saying that you need to go and lose all the weight in the world, no. But my body is requesting me to exercise. Even for my legs, like they can get swollen if I don't exercise at least once or twice a week. But that's my body. That's the way that I visualize what I need to change. The things that I'm looking that are not helping me. Why? Because I can spend too many hours sitting down. Probably I used to work as an accountant, which also made me gain weight because I was always in the computer. So I consider all those things affecting my body, where I knew that I needed to make a little more effort into exercising for my body.
I also want to say one thing, because I know you guys were talking about the breathing. The one thing that has not been brought up that is actually unhealthy and very dangerous for people with excess fat, visceral fat. Visceral fat is all the fat that we do not see on the outside. We could have visceral fat, but yet, we don't know it. But it's something that can be measured. Visceral fat is extremely dangerous, and it's the fat that surrounds all your organs inside your body. And yes, it can lead to diabetes, it can lead to cancer, it can lead to so many health issues. So if you want to talk about health and overweight, I'm going to go with the visceral fat. That is unhealthy. And usually it's not so much people that are in fitness. I'm going to say it, we don't actually have a lot of visceral fat because we have really worked on really losing that excess body fat to where plus size, there's visceral fat. You can't deny it. It's there. And that's what you have to look at that's unhealthy.
Yeah, because to me, this is hard to lose.
It's not about breathing. It is to me anyway. It's about the inside.
Well, the question was about health. It wasn't
what do you consider healthy, I guess?
Right,
and what is health to you?
Right, and just going back to what I said, I think it's a baseline. I think that, I think it's great that people are able to make fitness their lifestyle and be thin. I've made fitness my lifestyle and I'm still thinner, but I'm still a big person. So what's achievable for you and you and you and you and you might not be achievable for everybody else, regardless of what they're doing the same thing, I think all of us can probably relate to living with somebody else, significant other, roommate, having the same exact lifestyle as them for a short amount of time and having completely different outcomes, right? So it's not always about, this in and this out. In a scientific sense, yes, but in reality, it doesn't always play out that way because of all these factors out of our control. So what I'm saying is if we're thinking about health as more than just the body, holistically as your mental health, your environment, yes, I think everybody can be their baseline of healthy in their body, no matter what their size is.
Going off what you said, something that I've always said to all of my clients, especially with social media and people sharing what I eat in a day, like those types of videos I feel can be very damaging, because you can do exactly the same workouts as someone, eat exactly the same food, have exactly the same amount of water intake, sleep intake, and you would look completely different. You could have exactly the same fitness, wellness schedule as them, and you would not look the same.
Are anyone else here a personal trainer or a fitness trainer? When you hear Jessica saying that she's tried, she's done what she could, what are your thoughts? Like, what is going on in your head? Because I know that the way you see things is very different than the person going through it.
Yeah. So one of my things that I work with my clients primarily on is, what is your goal, one, and then also helping reframe that from aesthetic to something else. So a big part of what I do is reframe people to have more of a strength goal and fall in love with the process more. I think a big difference also is when I talk to all my gym friends, we love it. We go because we love it. And a lot of people that don't have that routine, a lot of the time struggle with understanding, like, why do you love it? Like, it's a chore, it's effort, it's hard. And it is, it's not easy. But for some reason, we love doing it. And so big part of that is the reframing, and also what is realistic for you and your day-to-day and what is accessible to you. Those are all super, super important, and it is completely different for everyone.
But do you think, like, actually, you can do it? Actually, it is possible, even if she's saying, I've tried. It didn't work.
Yeah, there's a lot of things too. I always ask for blood work as well, because there's a lot of hormonal things. People could have, there's lots of medical factors too. But yeah, different for so many people.
I love what she said. I would ask if someone told me they've done everything they could do to reach a certain goal and they haven't did that, I would have them write on a paper everything they did, because 9 times out of 10, they didn't have the education, they didn't have the coaching, they didn't have the training, they didn't have the background. So there's a lot of things that they didn't even know existed. So it's not diminishing the person saying, no, you didn't do everything. No, it's just saying, hey, there's all these other factors available, all this other knowledge available. Did you get a degree in exercise science? If you didn't, there's possibility that you could have been doing some things that were actually damaging you and keeping you out of gym, because now you overworked yourself, you overtrained yourself, and now you're injured. So now you don't want to go back because you actually injured yourself. You didn't just get the training for the muscle, you hurt yourself. And then with nutrition especially, we're dealing with preferences. So if you have a preference for high sugar, high fat food, and then now you have to tell yourself no. Yeah, that could seem impossible, but it's really not. It's really not impossible. It is a choice. It's not your parents anymore, especially if you're over 18. It's not anything that, and things have happened to me in my life, and there are factors outside of my control, such as the grocery store being a certain distance, or I have to travel. I work full-time outside of fitness, but I get up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever it is, because I'm driven. And I do have mental health. So I have a mental health type of background within myself that when I want to do something, I do it. I have heartbreak, I have breakups, I had to take care of other people's kids. I don't have kids personally, but I've had to look over kids. I've had to be responsible for other people's responsibilities. And what I saw was that I could do it. I personally could do it. And so I think that other people, if they reframe their mindset, could do it if they truly found out what their why was. Do they want to be healthy? Do they want to be this type of healthy? Or do they have a different version of healthy? Because really, it's in our mind. What do we think we want to do with our life or not?
I would say blood work, definitely. Can I ask how old you are?
I would just like to clarify that that was not my statement. I'm not in the pursuit of a smaller body right now. I am a fitness professional. I'm a gym person also. It's not like I was heavily dieted from childhood, right? At some point in, well into adulthood, not at 18, but well into adulthood, I reframed my relationship with the way I eat and the way I move. And I lost a significant amount of weight. I am still a fat woman in a large body. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, and I'm happy with that. So that's not for me.
Oh no, that's totally cool. Just,
For a person who wanted to.
Yeah, it's a lot of women, thank God it's coming to the forefront right now, and that is our hormones play such a huge part. From the time you're 35, you're in perimenopause, and your cortisol levels, if you're not sleeping and you're stressed out of your mind and you've got kids and everything else is going on in your life, your cortisol levels are boom. And if you can't control those or get them under control, it will cause weight gain, no doubt. And I've seen, no matter what you do, man, it is 20 times harder to lose weight when your cortisol levels are high and your hormones are imbalanced. It's just a fact.
And that aside, our environment that we live in, the food that's available to us, the air that we breathe, like the water that we drink, all these things impact our bodies. Like, we have this epidemic in this country, and when you go overseas, it's not always the same, and their lifestyles not that much different, but they're not eating the same food that we're eating. They have different environments that they live in, right? They might not be sitting in a car for 3 hours a day and things like that. So I think all of that is a contributing factor.
And I think it's also a contributing factor with women that actually are afraid to lift weights, because the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism, the more fat you're going to burn. But what happens is a lot of people go into the gym and they think, I'm going to go on the treadmill for 2 hours, and then I'm going to cut all my carbs, I'm going to cut all my sugar, I'm going to cut. They're actually at a worse level when they do all that. Because when you do that, you're not losing just fat, but you're losing the muscle you have on your body. And that muscle we need. That muscle, I can sit here right now and I'm burning calories because of the fact of how much muscle I have on my body. I can eat pretty much anything I want now. Now, I say now, okay? Not a long time ago, but that's what a lot of women don't want to do. They're like, I don't want to get big, I don't want to lift weights. When in fact, if they just put a little muscle on their body, they actually can eat more and they're going to lose more body fat. It goes hand in hand. And I think so it comes down to like a lot of the education.
So the next prompt is, I have struggled in my dating history because of my size. No. Okay. Anyone can speak on that.
I guess because I was like the only green, I would say in the sense that like I've come across, not that I have had trouble with like finding men that are interested in me. I like men, by the way. Make that point.
Why did you need to make that point?
Well, because I often get people assume other things, you know.
What, you're gay?
Yeah.
I'm gay. Who cares?
Nothing. There's
Who
nothing.
cares?
Because of how men treat me. But that's what I'm saying. Like men fetishize me because of my size, and I've experienced that. I've received a lot of like backhanded compliments, like, "Oh, you have a pretty face." And that like that's where they cut it off, and I'm like, okay, so you're looking at my face, but you're not accepting all of me. So you want a part of me for what? For your lust, for your satisfaction. And then there's also like, oh, you're so beautiful, but do you have a sister? Like the amount of things that men have said to me pushes me back sometimes. But I'm so thankful that I'm sure of myself, because I can only imagine the millions of other women going through the same stuff I've experienced, or probably even worse. So yeah,
so they liked how you looked, but they wanted a skinnier version.
And also I've experienced seeing men that like want to talk to me in private, but if we're in public, like you don't want to be seen that you're talking to me because I'm not like the baddie, and it's like I don't even want to talk to you at that point, like because you're showing yourself, and most of these people do show who they are, and I think like. I've felt like some people think that I'm gonna tolerate because I'm desperate, because I'm a bigger body, but I'm like, baby, I got plenty of offers. I'm not deprived over here.
That's a common, what you shared is actually really common.
Yeah, it's very, very common.
Discerning. Anyone else want to share? Just
At least with me, I'm bisexual, so I have been fantasized or fetishized by men multiple times. I get approached by men that find out that because they think that because you are bisexual, you're easier access to having threesomes and doing all these kinds of stuff, which I'm not gonna lie, my sexual life is very separate from my weight. And the times that I was able to be with someone, it was because we connected. A lot of the times I got approached because they like my friend. Oh, let me get your friend's phone number. But eventually we became friends, they get to know me, and they fall in love with the personality rather than what you look like. So I don't want to say I struggled with it because it would be a lie. I have been told, oh, I don't think you're my type. I don't take it the wrong way because everybody has a different taste. But I've never really been in a point where I say, oh my God, maybe in high school, but I don't care about high school no more. But now at this older age, I've never really said, oh, I like this guy and I feel so bad because he didn't like me. But I know that other women can feel that. Other women can feel like if you're not beautiful enough, the guy's not gonna like you. And you can get a guy to like you by confidence. A guy sometimes just wants you to listen to them, be there for them, just as much as you want somebody to be there for you. But it is not easy to find a perfect man, as it is not easy to find a perfect woman either.
how do you know when you're being fetishized? Like if you just meet a guy and he seems into you, how do you know? Like do you ever have something within you that says, okay, does he just think I'm easy? Does he just want me behind closed doors? Like how do you know? Is it something that comes later that you find out their true intentions?
I'm very bubbly and I'm very talkative with like guys and stuff. So it's very easy for them to come and tell me because I don't get offended. Like if they ask me, I don't get offended. But if they're like disrespecting me, if they want to start touching and stuff, then that's where I mark a line. But if you're asking me about something sexual, I'm not gonna get offended, at least in me. So, you know, sometimes it's just a conversation that we have.
I think when people are involving in a fetish, whatever that may be, they get into this place where they're just kind of giddy and weird. Like, we can all experience being around really excited men and how gross it is when you're not also really excited with them. It's very creepy. So you just get that, it's like the hairs on the back of your neck stick up. And I know right away, right? Like, most of us that are in tune know, I think each and every single one of us can relate to being fetishized for one reason or another. And you just know it's disingenuous.
It's like creepy and like, or I've even had men tell me like, oh, I love BBWs, or like, and it's like, that's crazy. Or I know I've been fetishized because I have another friend who's also like curvy. So when her and I are out together, it's just like the attention is just kind of like, in LA, people are thirsty. So I've had men come up to us and be like, oh, you guys would make a lot of money on OnlyFans. Or I've even had men tell me that I look like porn stars. Men that I've actually like dated, oh, you kind of look like this porn star. And when it tells me, like they tell me that, I'm just like, oh, this is a fetish fantasy thing for you. I'm a real person besides that. And I'm like you, like I appreciate depth. Don't look at me for my physical. I have so much more things that are far more interesting to me than my physical.
I would like to add, you reminded me of something. I think that when somebody is fetishizing you, it's usually a secret. We're usually not outside talking about the things that we fetishize, you know, it's usually like behind closed doors. So somebody's gonna wanna keep you hidden. They're not gonna necessarily wanna take you out on a date. Come over, let's watch Netflix. I'm making spaghetti, come over, you know. Put your hood on when you come into the gate, stuff like that.
Right, that's painful. On this side, ladies, have you ever had any experiences with being approached for dating and feeling like maybe you're a little too intimidating, or your size becomes a factor because of how fit you are and just how you carry yourself?
I think for me, I'm not all of these folks here compete like on stage. I was a powerlifter and I do jiu-jitsu. So for me, it was more a strength element. So it was more of they would be intimidated because they can't lift as much as I can, but then they show, like you said previously, they show themselves, you know? If that is an insecurity of yours, if that is something that is intimidating to you, that tells me something about you as a person. So great, thank you for showing me yourself, you know? So that, not so much in the physical aesthetic element gym-wise, but the insecurity that it comes with, I think.
I've been flat out, men and women come up to me and tell me, don't get too muscular. You're getting close. You still look feminine, but just a little more and you're done. Or I've had women say, I want to work out. Like, can you give me some tips? But I just don't want shoulders like you. It's a little manly. So I've definitely had guys come up to me and say that. I don't really allow it to like make me feel bad anymore. In high school I did, as somebody else mentioned high school. In high school I was hiding my shoulders. I would hide that because I did not want any, but it didn't mess up my dating life. I feel like there was still a privilege there, the skinny privilege, whatever it is, because I was considered skinny. So I still had dates, but I seen my friends that were bigger get treated differently. I seen them not get drinks at the bar. I seen, like literally I would go and get drinks and then give them to other people. And I'm not that I think I'm all that, but whoever that was at bottom did. And and then, as I'm in the bodybuilding world, I do this because I love this type of body. I absolutely love the way that I look. And so when people come up to me and say those comments, they never have the body I want or I desire in my mate or in myself. It's not attractive to me. So no longer does it faze me because I'm like, I really wouldn't want to look like you either. So congratulations.
Has it happened the other way around where, sometimes in the fitness community, people tend to date people who are also fit because they like the fact that you share that common interest? Have you ever had like the pressure of maybe your body changing a bit and then the person you're with not feeling as attracted to you because you don't have that physique that you used to carry? Has that been an issue?
Not that specific situation, but I feel like when I started getting more serious in my fitness journey and I started looking better, like I was reaping the benefits of working out, with past partners, they would start to get intimidated. They didn't want me to feel how I looked, or they didn't like that I was gaining more confidence. So that's what I've experienced.
And the final question, ladies, is I would not want to change my size. Stay.
I'm like in between. I'm in between too.
Okay. Well, I would love to hear from you.
I would I don't know, I was going to say for the first time in my life, I'm actually happy with my body, which is very rare. I mean, again, like I said, I'm a little older, but from the time I was competing, I started out when I was 25 competing, and then all the way through Gladiators, and then even coming out, I always found something wrong, with my body. This was too small, or that was too big, or I was constantly trying to change it. Now I'm standing next to, in my fitness journey and my line of work, I'm standing next to girls that are 29 and 39, and their abs are shredded and they're just pumped, and I'm older, my body has changed. I don't have that tight that I want. So again, I'm still wanting, don't get me wrong, I'm still wanting, but I realize, I've finally come to the conclusion, I'm never gonna be as fit as I am today, right now, and to be happy with it. So I'm finally content with where I'm at right now, and it takes a while. I'll be honest, it's a journey. It's a journey.
Do you ever look back at your pictures? I know sometimes this happens with people where they'll look back and they'll say, actually, I used to look really good.
Oh my God, all the time.
Okay.
I look at my photos when I was bodybuilding and I was competing, and I was shredded. I could wear that G-string on the beach with confidence, but yet there was that little piece of skin up underneath my butt that would not go away. You know what I'm talking about? And I was so conscious of it. It was just your mind. We're so bad. We are our own worst critic. So yeah, I can honestly say now, finally, just to relax and go, oh my God, just let me enjoy the way my body looks right now. But it takes time. But yes, I was there. I look back on photos and go, what was I thinking? I was in amazing shape. And I get mad at myself that I didn't enjoy it. That's why I guess I'm saying I'm enjoying it now.
Good.
Good.
I love what she said, because I want to, in my eyes, I want to age gracefully. That means to me what loving myself. Like that for me is being graceful. Loving myself the way that I look from here into like the future. I did put, if I'm not wrong, I put the red one, just because I feel like there's much more that I can bring to myself. I can change so many things, and I want to be able to do all these things because I want to travel still. I am a little bit over my 30, and I don't have kids, but there's definitely things that I want to do, and I don't want to miss out on them. And if that takes me doing a little bit of exercise, maybe in the past I didn't have the chance to, but now I have it. I'm not trying to change it for being in bodybuilding. Like I said, I respect you guys because it's a commitment, but I do want to do it to be on a healthier side for me because my body's requesting it to myself. So, I respect everybody who's trying to do something better for themselves, even if it's not weight, even if it's making your dreams come true, Mad respect to everybody who's trying because it's not easy to work with that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to change my body, but there's things that you want to change about yourself and you don't want to change that everyone goes through. There's certain things that everyone wants to change, and I'm going through that change. I was on many things where we talk to people and we're talking about mental health and body image, and since those collaborations, I've lost 20 pounds. So I'm getting to a point where I'm feeling very happy in my body. To say that I don't want to change my body, it just wouldn't be true for myself, because I want to change my body and be more healthy. And if being more healthy, I still look the same, okay. But if being more healthy, like scientifically more healthy, doctors consider myself more healthy, I want to get to that point where I go to the doctors and I'm not feeling shame for stepping on the scale or for getting that blood work done and them telling me, oh, this needs to be changed. But I'm getting to that point and I'm very happy with that and just super blessed, so.
Thank you. I think I was like 50-50 because I don't necessarily want to change in the sense where I'm like, I want to be small because I know I can never be like a size 8 or a size 6. And that's something that like I had to be real with myself. Like you can't try to be the body that other people have. Like you got blessed with like bigger hips. Like that's what my grandma, my mom, like that's how they're built. But since I've been like exercising, like how you guys talked about how you learned how you can really change your body, I've been realizing like my body composition has been changing, and it's like an actual art of like sculpting yourself. And that's like so mind blowing, because I'm not gonna lie, I used to have the mindset of like, it's my genetics, I can't ever change. But in the last couple of months, when I've been switching it up, hiking, doing yoga, I have a different connection with my body and an appreciation that it's like, these hikes used to be so hard for me. Now I can get up the mountain, and I'm even more inspired because I see these 80-year-olds hiking up the mountain too. And I want to be that 80-year-old when I get older. I don't want to be the 80-year-old sitting in the hospital bed sick because I didn't move my body, because I was like giving into my vices, the things that I know aren't really nourishing my body or fueling my body. So I guess in that sense, I just want to keep changing and being like more knowledgeable, present, stronger, and like improving my life quality.
Yeah, I think we can all relate on you can be happy with where you are physically, but still want to change certain aspects of it. Those aren't mutually exclusive. And I think we can all kind of relate to that.
That's actually what I was going to say. I have loved myself since I got out of high school. I tell you, high school is hard. Yeah. It's like, because you're feeling the hormonal pressure of wanting to be accepted for mating at the base level, right? But I really do feel like with bodybuilding, because that is my goal, that is my dream to come true, like I do have to be a lot harder and tougher on myself, because I'm trying to fit in a division, and I'm trying to master. I'm trying to be Miss Olympia for real. I'm trying to be an IFBB pro for real. And so that is my goal. So I am very hard on myself, but I do love myself in the midst of that. But I am trying to change. And then I want to see, I kind of fell in love with the process of the artist with the sculpt. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. I can make my bicep peak look like this. And once you do that, it's kind of like you're falling in love with the journey. You're still in love with yourself, but you're just, what could I do this? What could I do that? So it's not, I hate myself, so I cut myself. I'm just like, ooh, what else is in these jeans? Oh, I can pull out a shoulder. I can pull out a deltoid. I can pull out this. And then, once I'm done with that, I can be at a healthy balance. I'm happy with my butt, because the butt is a big issue. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie, I love this panel because I love the way that you guys are phrasing stuff. Like, it's really beautiful, because I've been in other episodes in where we've shared kind of the same message, and not everybody thinks the same. Not the other people on the other side are able to communicate the way that you guys are communicating to plus people, because I got a little more encouraged into wanting to do different kind of workouts for my health. Like I said, to each its own, to each its everybody. But for me, since my body is requesting me to change it up a little bit, I take that in consideration a lot, and I do appreciate that, because I want to be better, healthier. And like, you look 61, you said? Wow.
62.
You look great. You look
60,
great.
Wait, 62 in 4 days.
Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate the age. Hate the age.
Just a number.
I do have a question for the ladies who unfortunately did suffer with the physical assaults that happened in your life. How did you heal that disconnection with your body?
I was 12, 13 years old, and it was a situation in where my parents have always been very open about sexuality with me since I was like 8, 9. So I understood that my body was my own personal body, and that I couldn't let anybody else touch it. So when I encountered that situation, I understood that what was going on wasn't necessarily my fault, but if I could fight to help myself get out of the situation, I did do what I had to do at that moment to save myself. But eventually, like I said, I sat down with my parents. I explained what was going on. We found a solution to what was going on. But I understood from the start that it wasn't necessarily me who was causing the action. It was the other person who was, I don't know, in their state of mind, not in a good place. So within the years passing by, because of my connection with sexuality, I understood that I couldn't relate both things together. So I think that's what kind of like we're trying to ask, like, what did you do? I have my parents that I relate on a lot, my family.
That's good. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
I think everyone's experience, it's different for everyone, and it's an experience that not a lot of people talk about. And I felt so much shame because it had happened to me, and my parents had taught me, oh, no one touches you there. You don't do that. So I knew at some level, but because it was happening with another child my own age, and I was confused. manipulated in a way that made me very confused as, oh, wait, what? We're playing a game, but this is happening. And I was taught that you don't do that. So for me, it was like the shame of knowing it was wrong, but also being confused because we were playing a game by this person that was my friend. She was my best friend. And understanding now, like the way that I coped was through the food. And growing out of that, I spoke to my family. Finally, I spoke to my family like 4 years ago about what had happened to me and opened up about it. And really like getting that relief from them saying, I didn't know this was happening to you. I'm so sorry. I would have never said this, this, and that. And if I would have known, we would have gotten you this, we would have gotten you that. And then going to therapy too was such a big help in helping me love my body again and love who I am as a person, because it wasn't my fault. You can't blame the other child too, because there's something that is happening on both ends. Like it's an assault on them that probably happened with another person, and you had to learn a lot about that in therapy with me, especially because I put so much blame on myself and then also on them. But in therapy, they were saying, well, think about it, they were a child too. Maybe they went through something like that too, and they're just expressing the only thing that they know as play. But therapy was such a big thing for me, and it helped me so much, and then having that support system.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for being here and sharing your stories and your vulnerabilities. I'm so grateful that you were here, and I hope that all of you watching at home were able to take something from this episode. Please share in the comments below anything that you want to share, and until next time, have a wonderful day.
Oh my God, I was holding that in.
Okay, thank you. We'll have to cut, I know. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm so grateful. Thank you. That was really good. Yeah.